In this video, I rough in the plumbing system on the prison bus. As you can see, I went entirely with PEX pipe to plumb the bus, and let me start by laying out the system for you. Water comes into the freshwater tank from outside via the green flexi dump hose. The tank has an air vent that vents out the side of the bus. Water gets pumped out of the tank via my small 12-volt pump. But before the water hits the pump, there will be a T for pumping antifreeze into the system, but not into the tank. This will winterize the system whenever it's not going to be heated during the winter months. There will be another bypass just after the pump, which will mean that I can tap into either a pressurized municipal or well-fed system, bypassing the bus's freshwater tank. After the pump and pressurized bypass, I plumbed all the PEX as a branch tree system. PEX is often plumbed using a manifold, and I've done that before, but I went with branch tree here because I didn't want to take up any additional space with the manifold or have to do extra PEX runs. So by branch tree, I mean that the cold water simply departs the pump, hits a drain at the low point of the entire system, and then feeds one fixture after another. First the kitchen sink cold water, then the shower, then the water heater, then the toilet and bathroom sink. The water heater then sends the hot water off on its own branching trees to the sinks and shower. If you're wondering why I'm using white and red PEX instead of blue and red to code for hot and cold, it's just because I had some white PEX laying around for a while and wanted to use it up. So if you see white, think cold, cold like white snow. When running PEX in other situations, I've always taken advantage of its flexibility and curved it around turns. In the bus though, I started using 90-degree copper elbows just to be able to make sharp right-angle turns and save space. I also ended up fashioning some of my own PEX hangers out of an old length of garden hose. This was just to get really good solid connections to the walls of the bus that I couldn't attain with the various store-bought hangers that I tried. So the bus has several tanks. There's the freshwater tank, the black water tank under the toilet, and then a gray water tank. And I decided to use an old 55-gallon drum I had laying around to make this gray water tank. In a previous life, this blue tank had been a vinegar barrel, and then I had used it as a rain barrel alongside the house. I went with these jumbo bulkhead fittings that I got at a place in town that I really like called Farm & Fleet. The bulkheads were about $9 each at Farm & Fleet, whereas much smaller ones and really brittle plastic ones that I found online were about twice that price. Ideally, I would have fished the bulkheads into place through the barrel openings and use a fish wire. But with these big bulkheads, I had to cut a window in the side of the old vinegary barrel, reaching in with the fittings. And then once they're all in place, I sealed up the window with a transplanted patch taken from another one of my barrels. It turns out that plastic loves to be riveted. With some sealant on there, it closed up really well. Note that this patch on the Franken barrel doesn't need to be perfectly watertight, as number one, the barrel is just for gray water, and number two, the patch will be on the top of the tank, so likely won't see a whole lot of gray water sloshing. The finished barrel has an air vent to keep it from gurgling, and then there's the inlet on one end of the barrel, and then a drain on the bottom for emptying the whole thing out. The last thing I did was cut yet another hole in the bus, this time for the propane water heater. Probably because I was a little fried, I started out using various saws to cut the hole, and I did bend a few blades. Then I switched to my angle grinder, which was the right tool for the job. The installation of the water heater and outside hatch is 99% done. It just needs a little tuning up to be perfect. By the way, if you ever need to get about 1,000,000 iron filings out of the grooves in your floorboards, try a super powerful magnet. It works really, really well. With the water heater in place, the plumbing system is almost entirely roughed in. I still need to plumb the waste lines, of course, but that will involve hanging both the black and gray tanks, and those are jobs for this coming week.